Good morning, everybody. Hello. We have an amazing guest here with us today for the day 3 of the BWP Summit. Guys, it's the last day. We made it. Before we get into this illustrious speaker that we have here with us, I want to just shout out to our sponsor today, which is Getty Images. Martine Séverin is actually our Getty keynote speaker, so we're so blessed to have her in our space. Getty Images not only sponsored this event for us, but they have also sponsored 50 portfolio reviews for the community, for the Black Women Photographers Collective. And they're sponsoring more. And actual folks who've gotten their reviews have gotten jobs from it. So like this is invaluable stuff they're giving to us, and we're so grateful. But let's jump right in. Hi, Martine. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone.
Thanks so much for being here. You look amazing. I love these frames. I love this yellow. Yellow is actually my favorite color. So I feel like we're in
Well,
alignment.
I wore it just for you.
Oh, I'm so lucky. Thank you so much. Y'all don't understand. We have such a good conversation planned. It's going to be amazing. So I want to jump right in. But first, just in case folks that don't know you that might be in the chat, please tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, everyone. My name is Martine Séverin. Sometimes I put the fancy French way, which is the way it's supposed to be said, is Martine Séverin. I'm so pleased to be here with you, and I'm so pleased and so honored that, Christy, both you and Polly invited me to speak with everyone. I am a commercial and lifestyle photographer based in Chicago, and I also work in Los Angeles. Essentially, the work that I do is around bringing joy, levity, as well as a sense of connectedness and bringing that into the images that I create. That's essentially it.
I love it. Thank you so much. So let's jump right in because, like I said, y'all, we have so much to get to. We're finally talking to a commercial photographer about how to get into commercial photography. So there's a lot to go through. Can you just jump us in? What is commercial photography? How can some of our beginners or folks that are interested in the middle having like a career pivot, like how can they get in the door?
Sure. Essentially, commercial photography is a way for brands to create and to communicate their story, their brand promise, and to connect with audiences. So, or their target market. My job as a commercial photographer is to work in concert with the brand and agencies, creative directors, to put together a photo shoot or a video, an ad that really conveys the brand's message and what they're trying to do and how the customer will feel when they actually interact with the product. So in this case, you're showing an image from a commercial shoot that we did with HP Hewlett Packard. And I love commercial photography mainly because of the fact that it is all about teamwork. What you don't see by just looking at this image are the number of people. There are 20 people plus making this happen, and we planned it for months to make it happen. And one of the things that I know now as a commercial photographer is whenever an image seems really, really easy, it took it took so long to make it happen.
Yeah, we actually did touch on that a little bit yesterday with one of our filmmaker speakers, Naoe, who was letting us know about all the jobs it takes to create one picture.
Mhm.
So it really is like a collaborative team effort. Like you mentioned, all these folks are on set with you to build this idea, to bring it to life. How do folks like tailor their portfolio for something like this?
Whew, that is the $1 million question right there. How do folks tailor their portfolio to land the commercial jobs? Before you could actually land commercial jobs, you have to take several steps back because clients will come to you for what you bring to the table. And at first, you have to figure out what that thing is that you bring to the table. For me, as we go through and look at my images, it's all really crafted to go back to those adjectives that I use that represent who Martine Séverin is and what the Martine Séverin experience is when you work with me on set. So it should feel warm, it should feel inviting, and it should feel where that you'll have a sense of belonging. And that goes through everything that I do, from the colors that I wear to how clients, talent, everyone is treated on set. Now, how did I arrive at this? And it took a long time. It took years to actually figure out what the what was. And if you don't mind, I'll just take a story. I'll tell a quick story.
No, of course. And while you do that, actually, I'll pull up your portfolio so people can see she's not playing. Like, it's beautiful.
So I started out not in photography, not in the commercial world at all. I actually have a degree in education policy. And I thought that I was going to focus mainly on that, on education policy, and really finding a way to help students of color get into school, get into higher education and action and thrive, right? But while I was getting my master's, I got extremely, um, stressed. Is the only word I have for it. I got really stressed because it was an intense master's program that I did. And I turned to photography, which was something that I always loved. And in turning to photography, the whole thing in learning photography, taking photos, it took the shape of a blog. That blog got national, regional, national, and international attention. And I started getting commercial jobs. Now, the story is really kind of ridiculous, because to get a commercial job is something we all strive for. But to get commercial jobs is something completely different. And so because that was completely different, and I wanted to see my vision, and I wanted to see the way that people of color are reflected in advertising change, I knew that I had to learn more and more. And so I just started taking classes to learn photography, to learn how to tell stories. And that evolved into learning graphic design, that evolved into learning how to do video, how to tell visual stories. And then that also involved creating a portfolio. And while creating a portfolio, I thought that it would take me a year and a half to create my portfolio. And I have to say that now, 10 years in, I'm still not done. I find that I'm always going back to the drawing board usually the spring is when I create a new portfolio. I don't know why, but the spring is when just I get a pep in my step and I create a new portfolio. And then that portfolio usually debuts in the fall, where I do a whole new edit to my website, and I do a new portfolio, a book edit. So this is all to say it's a long process to actually figuring out, what do you stand for, what do you have to say, and then figuring out how do you do that. And the way that you do that is by creating what we call samples or test shoots. Samples and test shoots are essentially the same thing, but it's thinking about, for example, that image that you have of the gentleman, I don't know if you could scroll back up, Chrissy. So the image of the gentleman lying on his back, surrounded by trees. So this was a test shoot that we did because I wanted to question and to bring to light the fact that we hardly see folks of color out in nature. And I was like, man, I hike.
Right.
I hike. I like hiking. There's this group I belong to, which is, a bunch of Black women who get together and they go hiking here in the Midwest. And I'm like, I want to see that.
Yeah.
I want to see Black people out in nature. And so a group of friends. So this model, his name is Chris Bruce. He lives in Grand Rapids. And I did a test shoot with him where I just took photos for his portfolio. And I called him up and I was like, hey, Bruce. Well, I didn't really call him up. I DM'd him on Instagram. I'm like, Bruce, let's do this. This is the idea. I sent him sample, like a mood board. I was like, this is what I want to do. Are you down? And he's like, yes, I'm down. So we got Bruce. I went shopping for his clothes, all of those clothes. We shopped for it. You can't see it, but he's wearing a bracelet, and we went and got what is it? Oh, here it is. It's over. I can't take it out. But we literally made him a bracelet out of rope you use for climbing mountains.
Wow.
And we drove 3.5 hours to this
Ooh.
state park with me, Chris, with my favorite makeup artist of all time, Fred Sally Plaza, who's in Chicago, as well as this young woman who used to assist for me. And we got in my car and we drove 3.5 hours. Now, this is it, right? To be able to do that is amazing. To be able to have that team, and climb up, climb
Yeah.
up this mountain. And I feel like this is it's exactly what the work that we do every day, to be able to create that portfolio to attract the clients that we want to attract, to climb up this mountain with people who trust you, and stop every now and then to take photos, and to kind of take photos here, take photos there, and have a big reflector and come aside, pull aside while other people are hiking up this mountain, and get to the zenith of this mountain, and to just take photos, and to have people trust you, to trust your vision. And people who are working for free, nobody got paid. And that's the beauty of doing a test or a sample, is that you have a group of people who come together to bring in their expertise. So Princelli got photos. Once all the photos were edited, she got the photos. My assistant got photos, and Chris got photos, and I got photos as well, right? And so the whole thing is that you have to think about what it is that you're interested in, what you want to see more of, and you create essentially a whole portfolio. And I think the first 2 years of me trying to get jobs were they weren't photos that I had been hired um, to photograph, but they were photos that I wanted to see out there that were not yet in existence, like ideas of Black people in nature, Black people in flowers, Black people having a good time together with multicultural friends. And I wanted to do it from a place that wasn't really kitsch, like from the white gaze, but more so from the world that I live, the world that I inhabit, and the world that I wanted to see. And that's how you get clients.
Yeah.
So you think about the client that you want. In this case, it could be REI. It could be a whole bunch of clients uh, who sell products, outdoor products.
Yeah.
And then once I had that portfolio, then I identified who those clients would be. And then I set up meetings with them. I would, send emails to try to, and to send them messages to say, hey, this is the work that I did. I think it aligns with, your customer base. I'd love to set up a meeting with you to show you more of my work. And that's how you win clients. And that's how you start making steps. Long answer.
No, it's so needed, because I feel like sometimes that's where, especially a beginner photographer, gets a little lost, where it's like, I mean, I have these images I want to create, but that doesn't mean I'm going to get hired for them. Or like, I don't really know who I am artistically, or what parts of me I want to show. And I think learning these steps of like how to create portfolios, and then portfolios based on a brand you want to work with also is so important, because it's rooted in things you actually enjoy, the person you actually are. And I think it makes it easier. And then also having the knowledge of being like, oh, I know the people that are just down to come with me to do a test shoot, because when they see the value in it, they see that they can get photos. Like your makeup artist is going to get photos of their work, you're going to get photos of your work, your assistant, like everybody is building their portfolio based off us doing collaborative work for test shoots or for free work to build something that's personal. How do people like create these relationships and find these people even?
That's a very good point, Chrissy. I think before I answer that question, what I want to say is that um, the only way through is through. It sounds really trite, but you cannot know what your voice is until you start going out there and creating images. There's just no way around it. You might think you know, but honestly, you don't know, because your subconscious is trying to tell you things, and what you're observing needs to come out. And I sometimes I have no idea what I'm trying to say until, and I know like I have a thing that I'm really curious about and I want to understand better, but the only way I will understand is through creating, and through creating images then I start seeing, oh gosh, there is a theme in my work, man. There is a theme that I did not know about. Okay, going back and answering your question about relationships, and this slide says the power of relationships. It is so true. This industry is all about relationships. It's a relationship based industry. It's a small industry. Everybody knows everyone else, and you will get a reputation for ill or for good. And so through networking, um, I have to say that when I started out in photography and I knew that I wasn't going to get hired to be a commercial photographer right out of the gate, what did I do? I did weddings. I photographed weddings. I photographed families. I photographed engagement sessions. I photographed events. And through doing that, I sharpened my eye. I learned different photo skills. I got to try different things out. And through that world of photographing weddings, photographing kids and engagement sessions and everything, you meet people, you meet makeup artists, you meet somebody who's an event organizer, and you network within that realm. And what you find is in that realm, there are people who dream bigger, who have big dreams, and you start making friends with those people, and then you start pitching them an idea, and then they grow with you. Franceli Plaza and she's a makeup artist. She was doing weddings at first, or actually she wasn't even doing weddings, she wanted to do weddings. And she and I met 8 years ago, and we're still growing together. Whenever I have a commercial client comes to me and they're like, we have a shoot, and we want you, it's a 3-day shoot, it's blah, blah, blah. We're photographing 20 kids. I'm like, Franceli is my person. And the goal is, as you grow up and you find these people who are starting out at the same place you are, the ones that are really good, you keep them and you go with them. So we talked about just networking with people, joining professional organizations like Black women photographers, American photographic artists, the ASMP Association of the Associated Society of Media Photographers, something like that. ASMP. Those are photography, professional photography association. So you really should join one of those that are close to your city and start attending events, whether in person or online, because the people there are doing the work you want to do. So you want to get to know them and say, hey, can I assist for you? Can I do this? Can I test with you? Whatever, or just have coffee or virtual coffee. That always works for me. Portfolio reviews, I cannot say enough about portfolio reviews, y'all. I cannot say enough about portfolio reviews. We're going to talk about Getty in just a little bit. I met Claudia. Claudia, I'm sure we've been doing portfolio reviews with Claudia Marks. Claudia, I interviewed with her. I did a portfolio review with her years ago, and she is just this powerhouse, my biggest advocate, and I learned so much from this woman. I've had portfolio reviews that I did in 2008 that I got a job for last year. What the whole goal of portfolio reviews is to show your work, and to get feedback. The goal of portfolio reviews isn't necessarily to get hired. It's very unlikely you'll actually get hired right out of the gate for a portfolio review. The goal is to make connections, to make sure that the people you see at the portfolio review remember you, and that you follow up with them over and over and over and over again, and eventually they'll come calling. Another way is to network with photographers, other photographers, right? And to say, hey man, I saw that you're doing this or that. Can I be your assistant? A lot of the photographers that I assist, that I are wonderful, because they'll say, I'll call them and say, for example, this job that I got after interviewing someone, after having a portfolio review with someone in 2008, they tapped me on the shoulder in 2022 for a job. And this was one of the biggest jobs I'd ever done. And so these other photographers that I'd been following, I called them up literally. Like I was like, well, I emailed them first and say, can we talk? Because I have this job and I really want to have your take. They got on the phone with me. I had three different photographers. I got on the phone with three different photographers. And I said, this is what's happening. This is the issue. Can you tell me about anything that I might have not thought of that would impede my success on this photo shoot? And they were, man, some of them spent like an hour with me just talking through it. These are the things that you should be thinking about. You need to include this. These are the questions that you need to ask. But not only did I talk with the photographers, but I had networked with lighting assistants and gaffers. And so I called some of these gaffers up. I was like, hey, can I take you out to coffee and buy you lunch so that we could talk about this job? What are some of the thoughts that I need to have in how to light the scenario that they're telling me? So the networking isn't necessarily about, just getting to know people, but it's also about nurturing relationships for down the line, where you're going to need help, because when a big job comes and you want to do a really great, you want to do a great job, you want to hit it out of the park, you need to know some of the things that you need to know, the potholes that are coming down, that may be down the way.
That's so genius. And I can't believe I haven't thought of that before. Like, I feel like personally, I've connected with a lot of photographers, and especially photographers whose lighting setups I really enjoy. But like, yeah, like, why am I not reaching out to gaffers and light techs and other folks like that to just be like, what tip can you give me just to prepare for this gig that I'm really excited about and I want to achieve the brief? You know what I mean? That's it's genius. Like, but it's so simple and it makes so much sense. Um, to step back into the conversation a little bit, I want to talk more about marketing, which is such a big one. It's like, okay, we have our portfolio, we have our relationships, we're making sure we get advice from our folks. How do we package that and tell everybody, here I am, I'm ready to work, here's my things? Like, what can folks do?
Oh boy, Christy. So we're talking here, and I have to say, marketing has been really difficult for me.
Mm.
I'm more of an introvert, and I am not the kind of person who enjoys being in the limelight. However, I am the kind of person who enjoys paying my mortgage.
That part.
I am the kind of person who knows that the only way through is through. So, marketing, you just got to do it. Like, there's just no way about it. And what you consider to be marketing is, I think, has to be specific to you, right? The whole point of how you go about this artistic career is so that you can do things the way that you want to do them. And so, what I'm going to share with you are how my approach to marketing in a way that makes it suits me and my personality. So I'm going to share some tips for you. You always have to be marketing. You should be sending out, no joke though, you should be sending out about 600 emails a year.
Mm.
That sounds like a lot, but that's what it takes, right? So what we're talking about here is if you want to be a success, you have to be willing to do what it takes to be successful, right? It means putting yourself out there. I hate Instagram. Oh my goodness. I do not like it, but you know, I do it. Um,
Right.
I do the minimum necessary, honestly, but I do it in a way that makes me feel good. So the way my marketing plan is, I make use of Marketing Mondays, which basically means that every Monday I send out 10 emails, right? So 10 emails. I sit down, I have a list of people, and I just send them, I literally sit and I send them a message. And I do it individually. So I send people, everyone, a message specific to them. And it doesn't say anything brilliant. It just says, "Hi, my name is Martine." In case I haven't met someone, and I'll say, "Hello from Chicago." That's the subject line. "Hello from Chicago." Um, Hi, blank. It is, how are you doing today? I hope it's nice and sunny where you are, as it is here in Chicago. I just wanted to take some time out to reach out to let you know that I have some new work that I'd love to share with you. And then I say something about, I love how your company, blah, 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 um, did this specific ad, this project. It's really great. I really love it. Blah 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 blah. Blah. I've attached an image to my work here. Please reach out, um, so that we could do a video talk to so I could show you more of my brand new work. Something like that, right? And
Yeah.
I do that every week. And but I have to say, like, I started out Marketing Mondays, but I started out Marketing Mondays on a Wednesday. And what I do, because I like get hives, honestly, well, not quite hives, but I get really nervous sending out the emails. So I just schedule them.
Yeah.
I schedule them for Monday.
I
So
love
I
it.
am not, I, yeah, I love a schedule send. I will not press send. But what I will do is I will schedule it for the following Monday. But I started ahead. So like every Monday I do it, but it's really for the next Monday because it hurts to press. I don't know why. Like I feel it's a sense of maybe I'll be rejected, whatever.
Yeah.
But I still know it needs to be done. But I think a trick that I worked around is to just schedule send. So that's one. The second thing too is I do twice a year I send out a massive newsletter. And I think I probably have 800 people in my newsletter list. So I send out a newsletter talking about something very specific that I'm doing, that I've done, and I send it out. And oftentimes I do a video newsletter. And why do I do a video newsletter? Video does really well. And you want people to remember who you are. You want them to see you, to hear your voice. That way, when they think of you, they will think of your voice and they'll think of who you are. So I do little video newsletters and I send it out as well. Um, I do other things too in my newsletter, in terms of sending out, creating gifts to put in the newsletter as well. Because again, you want to make sure that people are going to click and they're going to interact. So not only will I send something, I will add something really personal, um, to send out. And I just want to make sure that the people I'm interacting with are interacting with
Yeah.
me, right? And they know my voice. A third way too is to follow research. So all the people that are on my list, I'm also following them on Instagram, and I interact with their DMs, not DMs, I'm sorry, I interact with their stories. Stories are so powerful. And once you find out who those creative directors are, the photo editors and all that, start following them and interact with their stories, leave messages and all. And some of these people, they'll have like 200 followers. Those are the people you really want because they're the decision makers. And so you want to find out who the decision makers are and reach out to them. Don't forget about LinkedIn. LinkedIn is very strong. A lot of people, both reps and photographers and creative directors, people who are going to hire you are on LinkedIn. So go on LinkedIn, and I try as much as possible to actually keep pushing content over that way. So reaching out to people, asking for coffee dates, asking for meetings in person. Meetings in person are really important. Taking people out for lunch. People, they have to eat, and sometimes people really want to eat. Asking them out for lunch, or asking for a portfolio review in terms of bringing your portfolio to their offices. Granted, not very many people are in offices right now, but
Right.
that's the way that I do it. So it's very low key, but it's also important to, at the very least, to send out those emails, your 10 emails a week. It sounds like a lot, but definitely send it. Be nice. Don't expect that people will respond to you. Um, I would say 90% of the time they don't respond, but the whole reason to keep sending it is to be consistent. That's it.
No, I hope y'all are taking notes because I literally am. Like the video in the newsletter, that's a game changer for me. And I
Yeah.
want to shout out because McGregor in the chat said the fear before I send each email is what's holding me back from hitting that 600 goal. And right after you said this, Martine, I literally did the math, y'all. That's less than 2 emails actually a day. So if we do it for the whole year, because Martine said 600 in a year, that's less than 2 emails a day. So when we think about this sending 10 emails every Monday, which also includes, I'm assuming, right, like the newsletter and just having like these really good ways that I think on another hand, folks can connect with you outside of socials. So your audience and the folks that you're trying to attract are just in your email or on your website and not just on your Instagram. And like Martine said, like we have to use these platforms, whether we like them or not, they're part of our marketing, but they can be fickle. Like we saw earlier in the year, Twitter was probably going to go down. We don't know what's going on. Like if these platforms go away, how do we keep our clients? How do we keep our business safe? And it's such a good tip, I feel, to be like, you need a newsletter, and then here's some like cool ideas you can put in your newsletter. So I really appreciate that. That was wonderful.
I have one more tip.
Yeah.
The other tip I have is to really be nice to other photographers that are doing kind of the same work that you are, and try to create some kind of a pod. You know, in some ways you are competing, but the open secret is that if they're busy, they will recommend you.
Yeah. Yeah,
They're
that's a big one. Definitely.
they
I've
will, I mean,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
go ahead. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, like, I have gotten gigs from just like new photographer friends that I have made where similarly they're like, oh, I'm busy, or oh, I need an assistant. Are you free this weekend for the shoot or something like that? Um, and which goes back to the relationships that you were talking about. It's like you show up with good work and doing your best and presenting yourself well, folks will remember you.
Hmm.
I also want to shout out just some of the love you're getting in the chat. As
Oh.
we got in, Helen says they were late, but here to support a fellow Haitian woman. We
Mhm.
got some hikers in the chat. You already people like Regina are saying like, oh my God, yes, I need to try this because she's in a couple of groups that she can like reach out to folks for tips. McGregor also said another fellow Haitian woman in the industry. She loves to see our brown skin in the sun. So you have so many supporters in the chat, and I just wanted to make sure you got that love. But Helen actually does have a question. Who do we
Sure.
send these emails to? Are we just sending them to the brands?
Oh gosh, Helen, that is a really, really good question. And it's a complicated answer that I have for you. Oh, okay. So we'll start out by identifying. So you identify who your clients are. And once you identify who, well, actually, your dream clients, you identify who your dream clients are. You go on their website and you try to find out as much as possible what the brand promise is and what the brand value is. They list it out on their website. It's in their about page. And once you get there, you you copy and paste that, because you want to use some of the language that they use is very important, and we'll get to that um, in a little bit. And then from there, you want to figure out where, how does this brand create their ads? You know, who represents them? Are they represented by an agency, in terms of, agency doing their ads, or is it in-house, or are their ads spread across several agencies? So for example, if you think about Diet Coke, for example, or Coke, Anomaly, I believe, is an agency that has Diet Coke. So now you have to figure out who has Coke. And for example, HP, that I did a job for, they're represented by an agency that is in Chicago, but it also has offices out in California and then offices in New York. And so there are all of these people who have different brands. And so what you want to do, you figure out what the agency is. And then once you figure out what the agency is, head over to LinkedIn. Once you go to LinkedIn, when you go to the agency page or the brand's page, for example, Coke, when you go to their brand's page, then you could look under the people section, because when you go under the people section in LinkedIn, it will tell you who's doing what. And once you go to it, it's a long answer and a complicated one. Who's doing what? And once you figure out who's doing what, then you start researching those people, and you start reaching out to those people, and you start going on their personal websites from LinkedIn. So a lot of times creative directors have a personal website that's linked to LinkedIn. So you click on that, and then you start seeing what brands and what brands that they've had. So it is so complicated. And that's the cheap way to do it. The harder way to do it is to get to buy a list from Agency Access, which is this company that essentially sells marketing lists, but you're going to pay a lot of money for that. But if you have the funds, I think it's like $1,200 a year for a list. If you have the fund, you could have Agency Access help you create a list. Another shortcut and less expensive way is to use agencies such as Philly Reps, which I'm represented by, or Wonderful Machine. Wonderful Machine has services. You could get a consultant through Wonderful Machine or Philly Reps to help you edit your portfolio and figure out who your target market or your target clients are. And then they will create a list for you. And then you start from that list, you start reaching out to people regularly. By regularly, I mean every 6 months. When we talked about the 600, you don't want to be emailing everyone. You don't want to be emailing everybody every week. The same person every week. You want to email the same person like maybe every 3 months or every 6 months. So it's a very complicated answer, but it does all add up. The easiest way I find to build that list and to figure out who's who is through portfolio reviews. Right? You go to a portfolio review, it tells you, they give you this really wonderful bio of all the people who are going to be there. You go, you have them, you review with them, and then you ask them, what are some of the brands that you represent, that your agency represent? And then you start building your list that way. Or you could just, through portfolio reviews, go back and see who the people they've had through the portfolio reviews and start building your list that way. That's an easy way of building your list without paying any money. Boulevard and New York PhotoWorks, they have reviews. I know Boulevard is having reviews in LA in July and in June. And then Boulevard and New York PhotoWorks are the same. PhotoWorks with FOTO, not PH. They're doing portfolio reviews in, gosh, it's in the fall somewhere, like in October or something. And you could go there as well. But it can be an expensive venture, but it's really slow. And I say 600, but you might not be able to do 600 right away. You might just be able to reach out to, I don't know, like just a few hundred people a year. It takes time, y'all. It takes time. I'm 10 years, for some of you, I'm 10 years ahead of you. So some of the things I have to take, I'm telling you, you have to take it with a grain of salt, and you have to kind of adjust it to a way to something that fits specifically for you.
That's a good point too, because say for example, somebody who's only 3 years in or so, and they're like, oh my gosh, I don't even know how I'm going to find 600 contacts to send these emails throughout the year. And let's say you only send 200, those 200 can still do something for you 5 years, 3 years down the road. So none of this work, I feel like, is going to go unseen or won't be worth it. And
Yeah.
then also, if you're a part of the community already, you have access to these free Getty portfolio reviews, which you did mention earlier, Martine. Like, let's get into it. Like, how are we growing with Getty?
Oh my gosh, Getty has been like Getty. I've had I won every few years. I try to get grants. And so I actively look for grants, and I wasn't looking for Getty, but Getty found me. But I think Getty found me. Let's roll it back. Let me say this again. So I signed up for a portfolio review, and for the portfolio review, I interviewed with Claudia, and she just went through my work and very kindly told me what was working and what wasn't working. And y'all, when you do portfolio reviews, it's really nerve-wracking because a lot of times they're giving you feedback, and sometimes the feedback is not always kind. I've had people who are very kind and people who are like,
Yeah,
um,
it can be scary.
yeah, it's scary, but that you need the feedback. You need to know what's working and what's not working, because when you know what's not working, you're going to take it out of your portfolio. So Claudia told me what was working that I hadn't noticed before, and she put her finger on the connection piece, which I knew I wanted, but I wasn't representing in a stronger way in my portfolio. And so she gave me this great review, and then she's like, let's catch up later. And I was like, oh, okay. So I send the thank you note, and I'm like, it was great. I really appreciated this, and that you told me. We follow up, and she says, I'd love to invite you to this program that Getty is having, where you could create stock photography for Getty. And I was like, I can do this. I'll crush this. I'm a
Right.
good photographer. I know what I'm doing. You have to be humble, because oftentimes you don't know what you don't know. And what I didn't know is I was really bad at stock photography. Like, I didn't know what it took to create stock photography. And I thought, like, I got this, but I really didn't. And I think that's what's really wonderful about photography, is because as soon as you think that you arrived at that destination of knowing it all, you've already failed, right?
Mhm.
But what I learned was how to become a better photographer through creating stock, and how those lessons that Getty has were just really wonderful. Oops, I'm sorry about that.
That's
Must not
okay.
have removed those. Really made me humble, because what I learned were tips on how to look at things differently. For example, this image right here, how to frame the image, the best way to frame images. And, if a company were to buy this image, you can understand how or at least to my left, that's where they would put copy, right? Um, you understand how to like people, how to create different points of views, how to be a photo ninja. You photograph, and Regina is there. She attended one of my workshops, and I'm like, you have to be a photo ninja. You have to photograph from here, from below, from above, from all of these angles, because what you're doing through photography, especially through the commercial world, is you're looking, right?
Mm,
And what's going on when you do, we'll take a step away from stock. Through commercial photography, you're always looking for the intangible, right? You're looking for a moment in time, and that's what you're searching for. You're not taking a photo, you're not doing this, you're looking for an emotion, and you're looking for a moment. And I think that's the difference between commercial photography and other forms. Not only because you normally have like 20 people who are together, from hair and makeup, wardrobe, prop styling, gaffers, um, producers, scout, assistants. There's so many people who have roles on a commercial shoot,
yeah.
but you're looking for something that's indelible, like something that is really true. You're looking for truth. Actually, you're looking for truth in commercial photography, and learning how to get to it quicker. I used to take longer, and through the coaching that I received from Claudia and I received from Getty, I learned to get to it much quicker. And it really helped me sharpen my eye in a way that I didn't know it needed to be sharpened. So oftentimes you don't know what you don't know, but
Yeah.
it's really wonderful when you can find a mentor such as Claudia, who can help you become the you that you needed, that you are, but help you kind of get there faster.
Yeah, that's such a good point. I always bring up too when I have folks that come to me for advice in a different way. I'm like, you need to shoot less. You need to see it way quicker. So you shouldn't be shooting like 300 images just for like a 1 hour session or something like that. Like if it's an event, of course, that's a little different. But like you need to be able to get it done in 100, in 150, because you saw the moment, you saw the emotion, you saw the feeling, and then you captured it and you moved on.
Yeah.
But another point of that, we have Simone in the chat that says, "Would you recommend a portfolio review for a documentary photographer? She got a few grants in her career, but she finds that her work isn't nationally recognized yet, and is wondering if a review could help her understand why."
A review could help you understand why, but here's some tips. I tend to be very methodical in how I approach reviews. So I go to reviews, and before I go to a review, I have a script. And here's my script. I will say, my name is Martine Séverin. I'm a commercial and lifestyle photographer based in Chicago and in Los Angeles. My current clients are Fortune 500 companies that are aiming to gain a better relationship with the BIPOC customers.
Mm-hmm.
What I would love to do during these 15 minutes, and it's 15 minutes you usually get, these 15 minutes, is for you to give me some feedback as to what is working in my portfolio and what is not working. What are some, based on what you are seeing, is my voice, what are some things that you think would help me tell better stories to attract you as a potential client, right? And so they'll tell me what they say, and I'll take notes. And when I take notes, I pay attention to the words that they mention over and over and over again. So I take very detailed notes, and then I say thank you. I leave them with leave behinds. I don't have any leave behinds here to show you, but I'll leave them with, I do. So
Oh
this is
yeah.
my little yellow, right? Y'all
Yeah,
see
I was
this
about
little
to
thing going? Yeah. So I have these leave behind. So I have what I know are my most popular images that I've created. This is a shoot that we did. This is a sample, y'all, right? That we did. This is a test shoot that we did
That's
in Los
awesome.
Angeles. And so I'll say, afterwards, I'm like, great. I'd love to leave you an image, and feel free. Let's see, go this way, this way. Feel free to pick one, and then they'll pick one, and I know which one they're gonna pick because everybody picks that one. And so that's that. So I then leave and I go to the other reviews. And generally, when I do a portfolio review, I like to do at least 5. Um, Afterwards, I go home and I type up all the notes. I type who it was that I reviewed with, where they worked, and then I type their email address, and then I type the notes. I All the notes that I took, I put it in a note section. And then what I do is I go through and I look at all of the notes, what everybody said. And what I want to do is pay attention to the themes that are coming out of what all those people have said. Because there are going to be some people who are going to tell you things that are neither here nor there. And so those people, you just don't pay attention to it. Um, However, there are going to be some people who are going to say 3 or 4 people are going to tell you the same things. And those same things that they tell you, then you take action on those. So, the person who, I forget their name, but what you want to do is have several and then look for the themes that come out. Don't necessarily pay attention to what one person says, because they're one person.
Right. So it's just one perspective.
One perspective. You want multiple perspectives.
Right. That's such a good point. I want to shout out to the chat again, because we have connections being made in the chat because of what you're talking about, especially with the stock photography with Getty. So I'm really happy about that. And that's really what like this community looks like all the time. And that's literally why we're here today, to just continue to make these connections with folks who can teach us something. So yay, shout out to us. I want to jump into, like, you gave us so much information about how to show up in our work selves. And I think one of the most important things we can do for ourselves when we're working, in our daily life, in our relationships, is take care of ourselves. Do you have any tips on how to do that as we show up?
Gosh, I really love to love silence and take some time to journal and figure out what is it that just write, and talk about and write about some of your challenges. And sometimes I can't do a video, I can't write, but I will do a video. And especially when I'm having a hard time, I will take my phone somewhere here, or I'll use my I'll use my computer. And so I will just talk, because no one is listening. It's just me. So I'll just start talking about some of the things that's going on, the things that I'm struggling with. And then I just leave that space. And then I start thinking about, what do I need? What do I need? And I mentioned earlier that I'm an introvert. So and I have a boisterous family. And, my son's like, Mama, Mama, Mama. My husband's like, hey, babe. And I just, like, my head, sometimes it's just, I can't. And I know that I need silence. I need to just go and spend time in bed, literally, like in bed. And I'll read a book, or I'll watch, RuPaul's Drag Race, because I love it. I'll do that, or I'll do a puzzle. So you have to figure out what it is that you need, and what fills you with joy. Because as a creator, you're creating, and there's a tax to creation. The tax to creation is fatigue, and because you're creating beauty, you have to go out and seek beauty. So it could be going to a museum, it could be calling a friend, it could be going for a walk, but you have to pay attention to it. My body tells me very quickly. And dancing, the secret to me, like, so I'll either do a puzzle, I'll have some time in bed, or I will learn choreography on YouTube.
Oh, that's so cool. I love that.
I'll learn a choreography, because it's very different. I'm not taking a photo. I'm moving my body. And I find that one secret that I found is that there's this one dance that I learned the song I learned a choreography to. And now whenever I need to, like, I could feel the stress coming, I just put that song on. And when I put the song on, my body starts moving. Like, I trained myself in a way that I didn't know I'd trained myself. So now I know that there are certain songs that I will learn a choreography to, and I will play it when I'm feeling stressed, because it will, just hearing the song, my body just knows the routine, and it will automatically relax. So you just have to figure out what it is that makes sense for you. And oh, you brought up emotional regulation.
Yeah.
That is not something that I learned how to regulate my emotions. And as somebody from the Caribbean, I think the way that I grew up, anger was just one thing that would just come really quickly, and people just, at least the way my family sometimes um, reacts, is from a place of anger. And I just learned that like anger is fear. That's one of the things that I learned through therapy. Yes, I do therapy as well.
Yes.
Um,
There.
gosh, the therapy has been so great. But to learn that anger is an emotion stemmed from fear. So, what is it that I'm fearing? And learning to meditate and to breathe and to, there's this breathing method I learned. I learned two different breathing methods that really help. One is to in for 4, um, hold for 4, out for 6. So you go in, you hold it for 4, and then you out for 6. And the other one is to take a deep breath in, and then when you're at the top, to do 2 more breaths. So it goes like this.
Yeah.
And just learning, it's the simplest thing, but breathing really works. And if I find that I'm getting off the rails, I have a gratitude journal, and I'll write in it, and doing at least 3 days of gratitude, writing in my gratitude journal. I don't know how it works, but it really changes my mood.
It
It
really
changes
does.
it changes my mood. The last thing too, when it comes to emotional regulation, when you feel like you're spinning, and I often feel like I am, is to just remember, what is it that I'm here to achieve, and what do I want to do? And and I have to just go back to it and know that like this time that we have on this planet is it's my time. And I have to think about, I always think that I'm the mate, like I think of my life like the Matrix sometimes, that I am Neo. I'm the Neo of my life.
Come on, main
And
character.
that like I have to make things happen, and I cannot just stay in like um I have to wake up, and I have to remind myself like today's the day, today's the best day of your life, and to also focus on the now. And when I meditate, that those are the words that I use, and I say now, now,
Mm,
now, now, and just remembering that the now is now. And not to chase something else, not to chase distraction. And there are some things that I did. I gave up drinking because I felt like alcohol was a crutch that I would drink to take the edge off the day, when I
right.
don't think the day needs to have an edge off of it. I think that I just need to figure out how I'm going to enjoy the day more. Um, so those are the things that I practice. But learning how to control your emotions, man.
It's so huge. And honestly, I feel so affirmed right now because I just started doing like the video journaling last year. And it's so helpful, especially like sometimes I feel like your mind is racing faster than your hand can write. And so if I just do video or even like a voice memo, it's like a moment where I get to get it all out and I'm not dumping it on anyone else. And especially if I have to wait a couple days to go to therapy, I'm just getting it all out, and then you feel a little lighter.
Mhm.
I super love these tips that you just gave, just about like how to pour back into ourselves or relief, like how to find some relief throughout our day. And that can look different for everyone. I know sometimes, I mean, I feel like usually the creatives and the artists are more into finding like these methods of just like self-care and like wellness and emotional regulation, but I know that sometimes the language around it is the thing that makes folks apprehensive of being like, oh, I don't meditate, like that's not what we do, that's not what I do. And I just want to encourage y'all, especially just right after, like on the back of what Martine just said, that like you can find one of these methods, and maybe your meditation is dancing, like maybe that
Yeah.
remain present and just focus on the now. Like when you find these little things that you can like come back to yourself, reconnect with your body and your mind, I'm from my personal experience, I have just found them to be super invaluable. So I really love
Mhm.
that you shared that piece. um And to just pivot really quickly, I want to jump into the chat because McGregor asks, what would you recommend for a concert photographer interested in working with Getty? How should they market, or so how should they market themselves or reach out?
Um, I would say have an interview with Claudia if you wish. And I think she's also amenable to have interviews. At least she told me herself, amenable to having interviews outside of the summit as well. That's a great way, if you can get her information, I would reach out that way because they're really interested in helping Black and brown folks succeed in photography and making sure that there is room at the table for all voices.
Okay, perfect. And then I just want to give some love to some other folks in the chat too. Helen says, "Oh my God, I feel so seen right now. I'm an introvert as well. Our alone time is so important." Jill says, "Introvert here, meditation, reading, journaling have gotten me through. Also cooking, I'm good too." Cooking was a big one for me, especially during the pandemic. I swear I had like a Christmas dinner every other day for real. I was cooking like crazy. V Lynn says, "I'm an extroverted introvert, if that makes any sense to anyone." And it does. I call it an ambivert. You got a little bit of both. You just got your day. Jasmine says, "Self-care is everything as an artist." I do agree. Do you have any tips for like how we can have these practices while we're on set, especially considering like sometimes these are really long productions and like maybe things are going wrong? Like, how do you recenter yourself to make sure you like can problem solve on the day?
Whew. Well, for me, that starts before I even get there. I have a playlist that I listen to, and I make sure that if I'm going, when I go on set, that like I pump myself up from the morning of, it's because it's exhausting. Oh my goodness, is it exhausting? And when you are the photographer, it's your shoot. You're like the director. Everyone's coming to you with questions, with questions, with questions, with questions. Hey, Martine, what do you think about these pants? Do you like the white one or do you like the denim one? Or, well, what do you think about us putting a bowl of oranges here? Or do you think we should put some lemons in it as well? Or do we want lemons? I mean, it's like, whoo-wee. And you, because it's your shoot, you determine everything. You really, I mean, the client has to approve some of the things that you determine as well, but you set the mood, you set the scene, you're the voice to everything. So I come in, I have a playlist. It's a dance playlist. It's also my workout playlist. I put it on and I make sure that I pump myself up. I talk about how I'm excited and I make sure that my body language is really different. I make sure that as I'm walking, whether it's to the elevator, to the bathroom, I strut. I'm like, yes, yes. And I keep the energy up. And then when I get to my hotel room or I get home, that's different. Like I have to figure out how do I recenter myself. But when you're on set and things aren't going well, you have to understand that photography is all about problem solving. That's what it is. It's problem solving. You will figure it out. And if you don't figure it out, we'll stay on this image because I'll talk about this image. If you don't figure it out, it's what you were meant to do. But when you're working for clients, it's a little bit different, mainly because mistakes don't happen as much because you pre-plan everything. And when I get on set, I don't have to worry about anything because I have planned for so much. Like I plan, I'm a planner. Because when I get there, I want it to then be all about me trusting myself. Mistakes happen, and this image that you're seeing is a mistake.
Oh, tell us more. Tell us.
So the camera misfired. So so you could see how there is the light that's hitting the model from the left, but
Right.
there's nothing, the key light, the hair light isn't on, right? That's a mistake. That's a misfiring. But I find that there are more and more mistakes in my work that I'm embracing, and I have the mistakes have been collecting them, and I want to do work kind of like this that are
Mm,
more based on all of the mistakes that I made, because I think there's something there, and I don't know what it is yet, but I think I want to explore it. If things go wrong, really wrong, for example, there was this shoot that we had. It wasn't supposed to rain, but you can understand what happened. It rained. Um, and it kept raining and raining. And so we had to go indoors. And it ended up being a lot better than we ever imagined, because then the story had to change just a little bit.
mm,
And those are, I find that 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 day was like one of my favorite days, because everyone was just amazing. Everyone was really flexible. And when you get people on set and you choose the people that you have in your set to a certain degree, because you can approve the crew, people know the energy that I want. And, earlier we talked about being kind.
yeah.
I don't have time for foolishness. I always say save the drama for your mama, because I that's not you're not bringing drama to my set, because I don't want it, and I don't want that energy. Because again, we talked about my brand promise, right? We're talking about joy. There's no The whole thing is about joy, so you can't be bringing like a cloud of negative energy on set. And so because of that, then the people that I work with, I choose them because of the energy that they have. The other thing too is that I make sure that as we come together, we have a pre-meeting, and sometimes we just all put our arms around each other. Even this was before COVID, but like we'll put our arms around each other, and we'll just say, I tell them about how I'm so grateful and appreciative of them being there. And the people who come to be on set, if it's somebody who's doing a digital teching, to being a stylist, to being hair and makeup. What you're seeing here in this shoot, you think it's my work, but it's not just my work. There's the
Right.
stylist, there's the hair and makeup artist, there is the set designer, and there's the model. This is what you're seeing here is a collaboration. So I never for 1 minute think that it's all about me. It's about all of us coming together to create one thing, to create a vision. And sometimes people and in terms of the way that when people come together to create my vision, I make sure that it's a collaboration from the get-go. I will have a mood board, and I'll say this is what I want to do, and then I will reach out to everybody and say, what this is what I want to do, but what do you want to bring in, and what do you want to see? What's missing from your portfolio that you really want to have be present in this test? And then that's that. So you
Woo.
manage it, and it can be however you want it to be. Um, I've had photographers who I've assisted different photographers, and there was this one photographer who did have everybody come in, and she did a big group hug, and I was like, "You can do that?
Right.
Yes, you can. You can do whatever you want. It's your set."
Right.
And then there are some people that the one person I assisted who was yelling at everybody. That's not
Ooh.
what I want, right? So
Right. Establish the mood for your set, the energy that you want to have on your
yeah,
productions.
you
Um,
can. Yeah, totally.
you reminded me of one of my favorite quotes who I don't remember where it came from, but they said something like be committed to the goal but flexible on the process. And I think it's like a testament to like things are going to happen. Mistakes are going to be made on set because we're all humaning on set. Something
Mhm.
might go wrong, whether it's something like a misfire or a light actually breaking. But
Oh, yeah,
you
yeah.
know what I mean? But like if we're all committed to the
Mhm.
goal, the outcome, everybody else is just gonna pick up where they can and be like, okay, well, what can we do to adjust this feeling to make sure we end up at the goal, because we all want to still work at the end of the day.
Yeah.
We have another question from McGreca that says, as a fellow Haitian creator, I'm interested in knowing how you may incorporate the culture in your work, or do you ever catch yourself wanting to share the creativity with home?
So here's the thing, that you have to photograph what you love, and you have to you have to create from who you are, because your point of view is what everyone else is interested in. Really, that's the open secret. It's about you. It's the you show. You're the Neo of your life. And what everyone is looking for is for you to do that. And when you don't, they're not going to connect with it. Um, and how do I incorporate my work as a Haitian? I don't focus so much on that, because I just do it naturally, because it's my work and I'm Haitian. Like, I was born there, raised. My mother is upstairs. She's making soup joumou. So like, I couldn't escape it if I tried. So the more distinct ways that you will see it play out is that sense of belonging and sense of community, because Haiti is a communal society. And so having people feel like they're part of the whole is the way that you'll see it. The joy, being Haitians are really proud about being Haitian. So I'm really proud of that and bringing it through. I'm obsessed with the beach. Man, I'm obsessed with the beach. Mango, everybody, yellow. And so a lot of my work, and so some of the test work that I'm going to do in August, September, is a recreation of a childhood memory of getting in the car in Haiti on Sundays, and us all going to the beach. We drove 55 minutes outside of Port-au-Prince to go to this beach, and we did it almost every Sunday. And so like, I'm obsessed with recreating that. And there was one time we went to Port Salut, which is in the south of Haiti, and I'm obsessed with an image that I created there, and I'm going to recreate that, but in threefold. So it's like three different stories. And not only will I be recreating that image, but I'm going to create the video version as well. So I don't focus so much on it, because it just is.
That's a really good point, because I feel like, especially now, which I'm very happy about, more Black creators particularly have been really vocal about not code switching, or at least figuring out how to do it less. And I mean, we've been creatives for so long, we've been taught this for so long, it is actually a process. And I think the more authentic we show up, the easier it becomes for our cultures and ourselves to show up in our work, to where it can be like how you said, where it's like, it's not even a thought. I just show up as me, so it's going to relay in my work.
Yeah.
So that's really, really beautiful. And you have a couple people in the chat that are like, yes, can you say one more time how to pronounce it? Soup jomu?
Joumou.
Joumou.
Mm-hmm.
Soup jomu. You know, I need to find some Haitian spots out here. I would love to try some Haitian food. Like, if you know any in LA, please put me on.
I don't know. I go to get, whenever I'm in LA, I go to Sac Passe Barbers. So they're like my entryway into the Haitian community in LA, because they do my hair, and everybody there speaks Creole. And so they will know. They know, because apparently there's this one lady who cooks, and everybody goes to her house to buy
See,
food.
that's what I need. I need
Yeah.
the experience. Lovely. I also wanted to just shout out, when we were talking about our self-care and loving on ourselves, we got folks in here giving advice on like what they do. So maybe y'all can pick them up if y'all are watching the chat. We got yoga in here, detox baths with incense burning, which I absolutely love. Shout out to Regina. And to be honest, I need to take more baths. Like, I need to do more relaxation in the water, because I love being in the water. I love the beach. And like you said, it's mango season, so I've been getting my life. But yes, as we wrap up today's conversation, Martine, thank you so much. This was beautiful. When I tell you I've been taking notes this whole time, I'm not lying, y'all. Like, I have my docs out and I have been jotting down these notes because they've been so invaluable for real. So I just want to say again, thank you to our sponsor, Getty, for sponsoring this event, for making Martine our keynote speaker for today, and for sponsoring our portfolio reviews. We talked about portfolio reviews a lot today. And for Black women photographers, they have so far sponsored 50 of them, and they're still doing more. So if you're interested in finding Claudia or other editors and folks at Getty, just sign up at blackwomenphotographers.com, especially if you're already in the collective. If you aren't yet, you can sign up to be in the collective. And there's no barrier of entry. So all you have to do is sign up, make yourself known, and you will be welcomed in. So yes, thank you so much, Martine. I'm so grateful to have you here today. And Shay says, are these videos available for watching later on? Yes, they are. They are recorded. So if you missed anything, you have all these gems from Martine anytime you need. But yes, thank you so much. We'll be back soon with our next speaker. See you guys later.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.